Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, it's the aftermath of the Super Bowl, and the Seattle Seahawks have won it 29-13, and the game wasn't even that close. Look, the Patriots are going to have to live, whether Patriots fans like it or not, they're going to have to live with the idea that they had an easy schedule. Because this is all you heard. If the Patriots get blown out in the Super Bowl, all you're going to hear about is, well, they had an easy schedule, and that's how they got to 14-3. Yeah, that's what they're going to have to live with. Listen, don't take anything away from the Patriots. You play the games that are on your schedule. They had an easy schedule, but they went out and they won those games. What are they supposed to do, go out and lose those games? But in order to finish the deal, in order to put an end to this Cinderella season, they didn't necessarily have to win the Super Bowl, but they had to make it an exciting, close Super Bowl, and it wasn't that at all. They got blown out. The final score was 29-13, and the game wasn't even that close. First team in Super Bowl history to go three quarters, the first three quarters of a Super Bowl, and not score. The Seahawks dominated them in every phase. And they're going to have to live with it now that, yes, they really turned the season around, back-to-back 4-13 campaigns, and then they go 14-3. But you're always going to hear, always going to be that asterisk, yes, but they had the easiest schedule. That's how they got to 14-3. Whether that's a correct assessment or not a correct assessment, and I think it's a mixture of both, fact of the matter is they're going to have to live with it because they didn't close the deal. And to close the deal, it had to be one of those games where they won the Super Bowl or it was a heartbreaking loss. And it was not. Not even close. The Seahawks dominated in so many phases, and so they end up winning the game. Now we're hearing this talk. Well, Drake May is young, second youngest quarterback to ever play in the Super Bowl. The youngest was Dan Marino. Well, this is going to be the start of another dynasty. Yeah, they might not have won this Super Bowl, but, you know, you've got Vrabel and May. They're going to be Brady and Belichick. Not necessarily so. There's no guarantee in sports, remember. There's no guarantee the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl again next year. That AFC, you think Joe Burrow is going to hang around and say, let's give the Patriots another chance? Or Patrick Mahomes? Or, pick your quarterback, pick your team. You can go on and on about the odds of the Patriots even making it to the postseason next year. There's no guarantee. That's why when you get that close, no matter how you get there, whether it's the easiest schedule or the tough schedule, it's tough. It's tough when you lose, and it's particularly tough when you lose the way the Patriots did, not in heartbreaking fashion in a way, but just got dominated. So they're going to have to live with this until they win a Super Bowl. As simple as that. And like I said, there is no guarantee. Look at Marino. He lost that Super Bowl to San Francisco, but he's so young. They're going to win so many more Super Bowls. He never went to another Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins. It's not that easy. There are no guarantees. You've got to understand that. Now, Sam Darnold, first of the quarterbacks who were drafted in 2018, that great draft class. First to not only make it to a Super Bowl, but win a Super Bowl. Now, was he spectacular? Not really. He was adequate. But he was very good in order to get the Seahawks to the Super Bowl, so you've got to give him credit for that. He was adequate on Sunday, but he played well enough to win. Kind of interesting, some other Super Bowl leftovers, and Darnold is one of them, and I'll put it in the newsletter, a better breakdown, but these players who play the Super Bowl in California, they get whacked on their taxes. I know you're not feeling sorry. Darnold, for example, signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. And the amount of money he's going to have to pay in taxes for playing that game in California is going to be more than he won for being a member of the Super Bowl champion team on Sunday. I'll break the figures down for you, but he's paying more in taxes for playing football games in California because you get a state income tax. You get whacked with a state income tax so that even if your team isn't from California, when you play in California, the money you earn, it's prorated per game, the money you earn, a portion of that goes to pay state income taxes in California. And you've got a situation now where Darnold is going to have to pay more in state income taxes to California than he won in the Super Bowl. Amazing. A couple of other things. Kenneth Walker III, MVP. Good for him. Had a tremendous Super Bowl. The first running back in 28 years to be the MVP in the Super Bowl. Terrell Owens of the Denver Broncos was the last one. Walker, 131 yards rushing, 26 receiving. And by the way, he could have probably had more if they didn't call that touchdown back because of the penalty, but just a tremendous Super Bowl. And he set the tone. That was one of the reasons why I picked the Seahawks to win, because I thought that they were going to have a ground game that would dominate. Now, I thought they should have run the ball even more than what they did, but they ran it enough, and Walker III was enough of a presence to help the Seahawks to victory. So you've got to congratulate the Seattle Seahawks. They were the better team by far. This was not an exciting Super Bowl. The Seahawks dominated. Patriots, obviously, in that fourth quarter, things got a little bit more active, let's say, once the Seahawks went up 29-7, and I thought their defense relaxed some. But, by the way, why didn't Vrabel go for 2 points after that first touchdown? Why wouldn't you go for 2 points there? I didn't get that at all, but that's for another day. All I'm saying is the better team won, and the Patriots are going to have to live with the fact, because they didn't win the Super Bowl or they didn't make it a close, exciting game. They're going to have to live with the fact the reason they got to the Super Bowl was because they had an easy schedule. That's just the reality. True or not, they're going to have to live with that criticism until they go out and win a Super Bowl. It's as simple as that. Now, we know, they've won Super Bowls. They've won 6, and they've been to more Super Bowls than any team because they've lost more Super Bowls than any team. They've won 6, they've lost 6. That's a great run. To go to 12 Super Bowls in this stretch is just phenomenal, and it goes back to the last century, obviously, when they made the Super Bowl in 1985. But look, kudos to both teams. But just remember this. The Seahawks won that Super Bowl on Sunday because they were the better team. Now, sometimes the better team doesn't win. But in this case, they were predominantly the better team. And they won. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, thank you for subscribing to the newsletter. And you could do that by going to danonsports.com. See you later.